What up? What's happening? How's everybody doing? Oh boy. Sunday night live stream. My plan is to go about 30 minutes. That's kind of my plan. Um, I don't plan to go much longer than that. I am extremely tired and I'm hot. Not in the right frame of mind, really. But I got asked by several people if I was doing a stream tonight. So here I am to see, I guess, who's going to show up. I would have suggested it, talked about it earlier, but I didn't think it was actually going to happen. But I'm here now. So, how's everybody doing? So, today is Sunday. Today is our live stream that is not about wrestling. So, therefore, we're going to be discussing some things that are not wrestling. And I'm not sure what's going on. Well, there's some huge rap beef going on with Drake and Kendrick Lamar and all those guys, but they're all sissies, so who cares? Um, Kanye being involved with that is humorous. J. Cole dissing somebody and then backing down, which is quite frankly one of the more disturbing elements of this whole thing. Um, but not much there. I know the Deadpool movie, the trailer is out. I did see it. No, I didn't watch the trailer to Deadpool. I didn't watch the trailer. I was thinking of another trailer that I was thinking of that I saw. I forget what movie it was. Um, that's how much it stuck with me. But Deadpool movie is out, and the trailer is floating around. I'm not sure if I actually saw it or not. Matter of fact, let me look it up while I'm here. Look at the Deadpool trailer. Deadpool, Deadpool and Wolverine. Uh, GK Aaron, how's you doing? I'm about to look and see what's going on with Deadpool and Wolverine. Look at this trailer. Do they have a full trailer here? Um, or is this just that 30-second thing? Uh, okay, we'll take a look at this thing. Oh no, Jackman is in the yellow jumpsuit. Oh brother. Oh, he cussing in this joint. Oh, they showing like the green screen and stuff. All right, so this is the trailer. It's just Wolverine's mask changing color a bunch of times. The Biz is the first like. I appreciate it. Oh, the movie coming out on July 26th. I will rush to not see it. Matter of fact, I'll wait. I may see it. Um, I may watch it. Yeah, Hugh Jackman has been in Wolverine since 2000. Yeah, he's been in Wolverine since 2000. My goodness, has he done anything else with his life in this entire time? I know it's money, but Jesus Christ. Hey, Zeus and Evan. I'm looking for the full trailer. I can't seem to find it. I found a 30-second thing that just kept. It was somebody kept changing Wolverine's mask color. Um, I actually do have fairly high hopes for this movie because Hugh Jackman was very good as Wolverine, and Deadpool was actually pretty good too. Um, I haven't GK Aaron. I have not watched anything uh, since what was the movie with the Scarlet Witch in it? The Doctor Strange. I haven't watched anything since Doctor Strange, so I don't. I haven't been up on any of this stuff. Is this the movie trailer here? No, it's not. This is a collection of scenes from Wolverine movies. Okay, here it is. You're gonna hang up the claws, and it's gonna make a lot of people very sad. Mm-hmm. But one day, your old pal Wade's gonna ask you to get back in the saddle again.
And when he does, say yes.
Oh, brother. Is this movie about Weapon X? Oh, so the trailer is out. I just can't find it. Okay, I instead of trying to find it on Twitter, I'll find it on YouTube. Goddamn, forget it. Oh, here's the official trailer. It's 2 minutes. Okay, this is it. All right.
Now get the fuck out of my bar. Just give me a moment.
Are they cussing in the trailers now?
Hi, Peanut. I'm gonna need you to come with me right now. Look, lady, I'm not interested. All right, well, I'm sort of on the tick, so upsy daisy.
How can he lift him?
Whiskey dick at the claws. It's quite common in Wolverines over 40. You don't want this. Unless you want to take a deep breath through your fucking forehead, I suggest you reconsider.
Oh, okay. What's happening here now? It's clearly a different timeline. So this is post Logan? Is that what's going on here?
This Wolverine let down his entire world.
So this is not the same Wolverine from Logan, which is the same Wolverine.
Should we wait for a third act flashback? Go fuck yourself.
I don't understand what the movie is about.
Trust me, kid, I'm no hero. You were an X-Man. You were the X-Man.
He was the X-Man? Oh, brother. Okay.
I am soaking wet right now.
All right, who's the villain in this thing? Ah. Okay. I think I just. Wait a minute. Who's the villain? It's some kind of psychic. Let's fucking go! All right, so they have a common origin with. They have a common origin with the Weapon X program. Why are they not using that? What is this? What are they doing? I don't know what they're doing. The villain is Cassandra Nova, who is distinctly a Charles Xavier villain. And why is she in this? Why is she in this? What does this have to do with mutants? I don't understand. I don't understand what the movie about. Okay. Okay, sure, whatever, bro. Do your thing. I don't care. I'm floored by that one. Cassandra Nova is the evil twin sister of Charles Xavier. Uh, wouldn't she be an X-Men villain? Deadpool is working with the TVA. The dude is about Deadpool work with the TVA from Loki. Oh my god, I have. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. Ugh. Oh boy. Yeah, right. I heard about what they were doing to the Fantastic Four. Um, I heard what they were. The Marvel movies are just completely done for, man. It's over. It is over, bro. Just call it a day. Just wrap this shit up, bro. Just wrap it up, please. It's a disaster, man. Um, I don't know what's going on anymore. Okie dokie. That, who watched that Loki TV show to know what was going on here? Why is Loki tied up with mutants? Uh, yeah, oh, the Fantastic Four, man, they've never gotten that shit right. I actually didn't hate the first two movies. They weren't great, but they weren't terrible either. Um, that third one with the four in it, Fan Four Stick, they call it. Yeah, that one was trash, super trash. That one was one of the worst movies of all time. That one was just no good. That was just all rotten. It was a rotten flick. The first two were family movies that were for kids, so they tried to play a little bit more for comedy. I see where they were going with it. Um, but I was sick off that third one. I was like, oh brother, I think I finished it, but I stopped caring like 10 minutes in. You know, oh yeah, I heard they're making a female Silver Surfer. I was like, yeah, you're done, so you're done, diggity done, dada. It's over. Uh, and of course, it was like it was in the movie, it was in the comics, it was a female Silver Surfer in the comic. Yeah, sure. There's a female Silver Surfer. Yeah, sure. That's exactly what you want to do is find the most obscure person in the entire comic book series and then highlight that person. That's exactly what you should be doing. That makes perfect sense if you were looking to make money. And he says, let's keep it 100 though. This movie's going to do 1 billion from the cameos. Downey Jr. back, all the Fox X-Men. Hmm. Now it's probably going to make a lot of money because Deadpool does very well. The Deadpool movies, even though I didn't like the last one, tend to do pretty well. I thought Josh Brolin was okay as Cable. Um, I just think that sometimes the movies are unfocused because the movies are so much about Deadpool as a personality. They don't really pay attention to the plot, and plot gets lost, and you forget what the hell the movie is about. Like the first Deadpool, you know, if you ask people what the first Deadpool was about, they just say, Deadpool, because it's like, what the hell was the plot of the movie? Who knows? And the second one, I'm still not sure what the fuck the plot is. I just remember Cable being in it. It's just that's it. They need to hurry up and make a new Ghost Rider movie. You know, I would not I would not hate another Ghost Rider. I think Ghost Rider as a property was huge in the 90s and they would probably have to lean into that element of it. Like if they was to set the Ghost Rider movie in the 90s, I think they tried that already with some of the older, like was it Miss Marvel, Captain Marvel that was set in the 90s? If they set the Ghost Rider in the 90s when he was actually cool and everybody was on the Ghost Rider train, that movie might make a ton of money. If you set it before the 90s, it might make a lot of money too. Um, but it can't be the car Ghost Rider. It's got to be the motorcycle guy. You got to build up to the. I forgot what the kid's name who drives the car. You got to build up to that. You got to build up the lore because you got to explain how the spirit of vengeance works and all that kind of stuff. Even though technically Robbie Reyes' uncle is not a spirit of vengeance. Uh, the first um the first Deadpool movie, I think it was like a revenge flick. Like he got turned into that monster and he basically just went and got revenge. So I think him saving his girlfriend was in the second movie. He got pegged in the second movie. Oh yeah, no, yeah. There's no point in watching that. Taylor Swift was in it. Hmm. Oh, or she's gonna be on this upcoming one. Well, Deadpool is canonically bisexual, so I'm not surprised they did some stuff like he getting pegged in the movie. I'm not surprised. But there's so many characters you could do fun stuff with. A lot of them are occult characters though. Ghost Rider can be so much fun if you wanted to do something cool with him. Why DC hasn't tried to do anything with Constantine, the Hellblazer. You don't even need to attach that to superheroes. You can do basically like a Buffy the Vampire Slayer, except drunk Englishman with like Hellblazer. Like you can do a lot of really fun, dark stuff with the Constantine character. He's one of my favorite DC characters, if we being legit. The Hellblazer series is one of those joints where I'll pretty much buy the books every time I come across them. I got a bunch of I used to go digging in the dollar bins, just picking up all the Hellblazers that they got and reading them. The Garth Ennis joints, the Jamie Delano joints, they were all so good. They were they were tremendous. I don't know. You would think all the cool stuff you could do with that character, he would be an important element of uh of the well, at least of the TV universe or whatever, because he's so versatile that you could put him in there with like regular demons and warlocks and that kind of stuff. And people like shows like Grimm and Buffy the Vampire Slayer and all that kind of stuff, and Hellblazer could fit right in with that. But whatever, it's it is what it is. The Deadpool movies are overrated. Deadpool 3 is saved because of Hugh. Um, I just looked at the trailer and I don't know what the movie is about. I don't see what the movie is about. So Cassandra Cain is the villain, or Cassandra Nova. I'm sorry. Okay. Who cares? Whoever is like the writer of these movies really need to learn that you just can't take random villains and throw them in random shit. Like you have to build up to a Cassandra Nova villain. Like for starters, Charles Xavier should be in your universe before you have Cassandra Nova. You know, like you should have X-Men characters in your universe first before you start doing like the genocide gimmick. You know, well, her genocide gimmick, not the other kind of genocide gimmicks. And you could do those three stories with the X-Men, where the X-Men are hated by humans, and maybe the Sentinels are the first villains, and second is Magneto, who wants to kill all the humans, and then Magneto and Xavier have to work together because there's somebody else who's trying to destroy all the mutants, and it's Cassandra Nova. I was about to say Cassandra Cain again. I don't know why I got her on my mind, but them putting Cassandra Nova in Wolverine and Deadpool, go for it. I don't care. The first was his origin story. He got cancer and screwed over. It was a great revenge flick to me. I liked the first Deadpool. I thought it was really good. I didn't really care for the second one. I kind of pushed it out of my mind. I did like Josh Brolin as Cable. I think I said that already. The MCU has gotten too big that nothing makes sense anymore. Yeah, I think they got high on their own supply, and they forgot that these characters have history, and you need to capitalize off the history of the characters. You can't just slapdash things together. It's very unfortunate that they would try to do that. They made Constantine LGBT. Well, he's been gay since like the 80s. If we've been in the comic books, he's been like bisexual since the 80s. He used to be like into polyamory and stuff like that. But that was part of him being an occult character, because a lot of occult characters tend to be bisexual. I don't know why that is, but they just tend to be that way. But Constantine being bisexual is actually canon to the comics, going back a ways. But he is very cool. He's very dark and kind of misunderstood. One of those guys where everything that he tries to do something right, it kind of turns shitty on him. Everybody around him suffers, and you pretty much learn how cool that character can be, but they don't really want to use it. Constantine was in Legends of Tomorrow TV show that kept me watching. Oh Lord, why would they put him in that? Why would he be in the Legends of Tomorrow? He's a standalone character. He shouldn't even really be in the superhero universe because all the Hellblazer stuff is Vertigo, which is pretty much contained away from mainstream DC comics. You know, they need to make a proper adaptation of the Sandman. I still have not read Sandman, by the way. That's how much I hate Neil Gaiman. I still have not read Sandman. Um, my hatred of Neil Gaiman has me not really wanting to read it, if we're being honest. You know what? Static Shock as a character to jump off or to utilize in their universe, their movie universe or cartoon universe, now is the perfect time to do that. Like Black Lightning came around at the right time. I didn't watch the Black Lightning TV show because it was on the CW, and I think everything that was on the CW was trash. But my girl liked Black Lightning. She barely even watches superhero movies and TV shows, but she liked it. Um, I just she also liked Gotham, and I didn't watch Gotham either. I just when the MCU started getting really weak and the DC universe became mostly CW product properties, I was like, I'll wait, and I just never got around to going back to it. Yeah, I heard that Dominic Mysterio was going to have surgery, but now he doesn't need it. Interesting. Well, yeah, it's clearly that CM Punk is not going to be able to work, and that's just obvious. So they're going to do something to fill that void. The amount of characters DC has that I didn't know is wild to me because they only care about Batman and Superman. I was surprised that Green Arrow became as popular as he was. Green Arrow really hadn't been a popular character since the '80s, with when Mike Grell was writing it, and that's when the comics were great too. Mike Grell Green Arrow was fantastic. I can't really speak for the rest of the Green Arrow stuff, but I know when I pick up if I'm going to pick up a Green Arrow comic, it better be written by Mike Grell and it better be like 40 years old. So like Longbow Hunters and all that kind of stuff is really good. It's SJW, but it actually fits the Green Arrow character because that's what he is. He's a Seattle far left, rich, you know, kind of guy, and he into that kind of stuff. Stone Metzger says the thing with Magneto now is they're trying to make him the hero and everyone else the villain because the mutants are being used as the allegory for the rainbow people. Uh, that's been the problem with Magneto for a long time, and the fact that they made him such a sympathetic character with the whole Holocaust thing and and all that. Um, I noticed they've been having problems like how they're going to update the character of Magneto because of the age. The further and further away you get from World War II, you have to explain how Magneto is, still so young. So he's probably going to go from being a Holocaust survivor himself to his parents being Holocaust survivors, I would imagine. Um, Unless he's just going to be super old, and they find some way that he can use his powers to maintain his youth. But Magneto being such a sympathetic villain helps them turn him babyface. I don't like babyface Magneto. I think it's kind of corny, actually. You know, not everybody needs a redemption story, and I don't think Magneto's redemption story really works because really all they did is turn the X-Men heel. Because once you start agreeing with Magneto, I mean, he softens his position and kind of meets them in the middle, but it ends up with Cyclops and all those guys hardening their position and coming across like assholes. So there that goes. This Deadpool film is set after Logan, so Charles Xavier is dead. This is a redemption flick for that universe's Wolverine. Oh no! What was wrong with that Wolverine? There was nothing wrong with that Wolverine. I guess I don't know. Sure. Maybe we should have just done Weapon X, man. Maybe that should have just been the idea. Yeah, yeah. There's plenty of Weapon X characters they could have used that they haven't used yet. At least I don't think so. Um, could have been fun, but oh well. He will be feuding with Jey Uso, main event Jey Uso. I do not believe Damian Priest is going to lose the belt to Jey Uso. I'm not going to buy that one. I think it's pretty set up for Damian Priest and Drew McIntyre to have the thing. That's why they did it at WrestleMania. Um, I think Jey Uso is just in this match to lose, to give Damian Priest a win. You shocked Spider-Man has been bisexual yet? Um, well, they're gonna eventually. There's gonna become a time where all the characters are gay. I mean, I've come to grips with that too. You know, they kind of made Batman gay, didn't they? Recently, I think it might have been an Elseworlds, but they had him like make out with some guy or something like that, and it was it was big news for a while, but it didn't stick. People just kind of like was so burned out on all the other stuff that they really didn't follow it and didn't really care. But all they really do is they plant those seeds that all the characters are, attracted to other men and all this kind of crap. But then later on, when somebody decides they're going to go ahead and do it, they can say, well, if you look at this issue at this particular time, this is what happened, and who cares? Like everybody's going to end up gay eventually because that's just the world that we live in, and they think that like 90% of people are gay and all this. It's back like when I remember hearing that Europeans for a long time thought like the United States was like 60% black because like there were black people all over television. Like the NBA is almost all black, the NFL was almost all black. The music genres was rap music and is mostly black. It's black people all over the place. But that was the old representation push that made it seem like 13% of the population is half of the population. So like there were people in European countries and in Japan or whatever that think there are more black people in the United States than there really are because they see them so much out of American media. And that was stunning to me. And it's going to end up being the same way with gays. If they're going to start thinking that there are far more gay people in the United States than there really is because of how much LGBT stuff is being pumped out, that is forcing them into it. And other countries don't really understand that it's the politicians and the politically minded that are creating the culture that are pushing this representation stuff. And it's not an accurate representation of how many people are of LGBT status in the United States in general. You know, um, I've just already accepted that. So it is what it is. The X-Men have been used as a metaphor for racism, oppression, and bigotry since it's first written. That's the purpose. Yes and no. Yes, it became that way, and when it became more popular, but much like um, uh, I lost my train of thought. The original reason the X-Men were the way that they were was because they didn't want to keep creating origin stories. So it wasn't like, hey, let's come up with an allegory of racism and all this kind of stuff. It was let's create a team of superheroes where we don't have to think of origin stories, and you could just say, oh, they were born this way, and then from there, it became, oh, people are different, and you could have people who hate you just for being different, and it's like, oh, okay, well, that's sensible. And then, of course, the easiest way to come up to use that was, mainstream uh, conversations and current events about racism, and now it's homophobia and all this kind of stuff. And I mean, it is what it is. I ain't tripping on that. I'm just morally talking about how everything sucks. You can talk about racism all forms of discrimination and just not be bad at it, which is what they are now. It's just they're very bad at it. I'm surprised they didn't do nothing with Batman and Beyond. They mean, well, I don't know. I like Static, but they made him BLM and talk about racism. Well, uh, the thing is, um, they twisted his origin story. The original Static Shock was a lot about inner city violence, and I'm not sure if gangs were related because it was the '90s and gang banging and that kind of stuff was a big deal. But a lot of it was Static Shock being bullied and all this kind of stuff in school. And now it became Black Lives Matter. That became like the Big Bang and all this kind of crap. And it changed the origin of every single hero in the Milestone universe. When they did the reboot, you know, most obviously they changed Icon, which was my character in the Milestone universe. They shit all over him, and I was just like, I'm done with this. Uh, but the creators look at things and say the character would agree with me, and because I'm the writer, the character would agree with me, and this is heroic, and and of course he's a teenage character, so obviously they're going to have him protesting and all that kind of stuff. That's just what they do. They think all teenagers are into protesting and activism when it's only the kids who are looking to get special credit in college that are interested in doing all that crap. Everybody else is trying to get laid and get money, just live life normally. So very bizarre. I'm glad somebody else liked Black Lightning. I did. Yeah, Static Shock is. I mean, there was always going to be that in it because the creator Howard McDuffie was. Oh, wait, his name was not Howard. I was thinking of Howard Mackey. Dwayne McDuffie was, into that sort of stuff. So there's always going to be that conversation, and it wasn't always central to Static Shock, but it was always there. He said he don't make Spider-Man bisexual because they make the actors bisexual. Magneto's age does matter. It does matter eventually because it plays into his origin story. So you have to, explain how a character who could have experienced the Holocaust is still around in like 2024. As more and more Holocaust survivors end up dead, you're gonna have to find some way to make him, or you could say mutants have longer lifespans. I guess they stay young longer. I guess. I guess. I'm sure they'll come up with some way. He said it's sad he didn't try to make. Well, I think part of why Spawn has not grown is because of McFarlane. McFarlane has wanted to write the Spawn movies, and he started as not a great writer. He's okay. He's better than he used to be. Like his writing of the Spawn comics now is superior to when he was writing them in like '96. But that's not saying much. He still should probably pass the writing duties on to somebody else. But um, he wants to write the movies and do all this stuff, and I think that has slowed down a lot of the momentum that Spawn had. You know, and it's very unfortunate because Spawn is a really dope character, and it can be really fun. Um, of course, with McFarlane writing it, there's a lot of negative shit that happened with Spawn, like him becoming a domestic abuser. Like I didn't see why he ever needed to go there, but he did, and you can't really go back from that. Like a war criminal, and I get it. I get it. They want to tell the story while Al Simmons was, being recruited by Hill. And you could say, well, he was already a bad guy. You know, so Chuck Last don't remember why Constantine joined the Legends. It had something to do with demons. Wasn't great. None of the CW ones were great. I got really bored. Yeah, I understand. I understand. The Flash was good, huh? I don't. I never was a big fan of the Flash. I don't. I read like Flash Rebirth. I've read Flashpoint. But other than that, I really don't go out my way to read the Flash. You know, he's just not one of my favorite characters. George Alvarez says they should have done a canonically accurate Deadpool kills the MCU and have Deadpool restart the universe over because this shit ain't working. uh, Part of it, they're letting their politics get in the way of decent storytelling. You know, trying to force females into the look. I get it. You want to have women, female characters, but they want to force a female character into the movies, force gay people into the movies, um, force black people into the movies, and you end up just overloading the cast or using characters that have no business being in this position. Like I guarantee you, they used Cassandra Nova because they wanted to have a female presence in that movie. I guarantee you, that's the only reason she was in it. That's like they decide that we're going to have a female Silver Surfer because they wanted to have another female in the movie. It's like that's stupid, you know. There are other female characters. You know, you could use them. You know, I don't know. I also think that Flash is boring. I also think Flash. It'll never end. Look, LWO versus Legado will never end. They're finding new ways to keep it alive. If Carlito joins Legado del Fantasma, man, I don't know what I'm going to do with myself. My God, it's just never going to end. Miles Morales will be gay because they're going to make Gwen Stacy trans, and he will love a trans person. I heard about that conspiracy theory that they're going to try to trans Gwen Stacy, um, Spider Gwen, Ghost Spider in the upcoming Spider movie because they did the bisexual lighting and all that kind of stuff for her, the trans coloring. Uh, wouldn't that be something? Wouldn't that be something? And see, the backlash from adults would be crazy. The kids won't catch it, probably. They'll find some way to hide it so the kids can't catch it. But the backlash from adults would be nuts, you know. But that'd be a great way to kill off Miles Morales because people are just going to be like, nope, nope, nope. Anything that he's in it, I'm not watching it. I'm not going to be a part of it. And they don't get it. It's the same thing every single time, man. Um, they take something that people like, they either gay it up or BLM it up or something like that, and then people just lose interest. Yeah, because they're not in positions. The writers are not in position because they have talent. The writers are in the position because they have the right politics. This is the patronage system that we were talking about. It's worse than nepotism, you know, because at least in nepotism, if you fail, they're going to push you aside. They may just give you a room in an office somewhere where you can't do any damage. When it's a patronage system, basically, this person is entitled to this position and has some kind of ability to do you harm if you don't continue playing the role that they want you to play. You know, and it's pretty ridiculous, man. It's an entitlement because you helped somebody get somewhere and then you owe them, and they're going to play the game. That's the problem. You know, you have no agency when you're a patron of somebody. You just do what they tell you to do, and then that's it. And you don't have a choice in the matter. Yeah, that was the right he came out with the X-Men. Didn't Star Lord become gay to spite Chris? Yeah, they made him bisexual because of Chris Pratt being a Christian, and they wanted to try to make Star Lord gay in the movies. And that's the kind of shit that that's the kind of shit they thinking about, man. They're not thinking about how to make the character cool, how to make the stories interesting. They're thinking of how can I screw over the creator, the fans, the actor, you know, stuff like that. It's like, why? That isn't, but you realize that their job is not to tell entertaining stories. They're all just placeholders. Their job is to have the place. You can't get it, and you can't tell the story that you want to tell with Spider-Man because they're too busy with this guy telling Spider-Man stories and they're all boring and they suck. And he just sits there and collects money, and you have to pay Piggy and keep giving him money to read his really terrible Spider-Man stories. And then what happens? People just tune out. Like Guardians of the Galaxy, there's no reason why the franchise, which was, little to no success really in terms of comics before the movies, after the movies, it didn't blow up in the comics because you had a team, it worked. All you had to do was, at least keep some of the characters within the character of the movie. And I know that, they ended up changing some of the characters because the synergy. But then you do things like we're going to make Star Lord gay because Chris Pratt is a Christian and we don't like him. It's like that's stupid. So now nobody reads the Guardians of the Galaxy comic books because you decided you wanted to try to piss off the actor who doesn't care. Because guess what? The character can be gay. That doesn't mean he's going to agree to do anything gay on screen. That's stupid. That's so stupid, you know. And if you replace him, you're going to do nothing but tank the franchise. So yeah, it's just dumb. It's real stupid. He said change the origin event, have the Nazis try to experiment on Magneto, trying to replicate Wolverine's regenerative abilities, and the result is that he ages much slower instead. That's actually a really good cover up. That let's say he would have been a kid during the Holocaust anyway. He was captured by the Nazis. They found out he was a mutant. He underwent some kind of experiments that ended up making him age slower than the average person, the average mutant or whatever. That would actually be sensible. That'd be a sensible way of explaining it. Experiments usually explain everything pretty well, especially Nazi experiments. You think that Marvel should recast and make a Sentry film? Oh, I heard what they were doing with the Sentry. They've just been destroying the Sentry, man. I don't know. His time was just up. Like they decided to turn the Sentry into a black lesbian in a wheelchair in the comic books. It's like that is absolutely asinine. It is absolutely asinine that somebody has the powers of the Sentry in a wheelchair. It's not. It's not. It was just Sentry's time, man. They decided they were going to desiccate that character, and they did. Um, they decided to get rid of him. Just watched that Deadpool X Wolverine trailer, and it's about Madonna. Is that Madonna? I don't know. He said, especially black fans, people are just now getting used to Miles. No one is more homophobic than blacks. Well, I'm not going to lie to you. That used to be the case. It's not. I don't think it's the case that much anymore, though. I think there's a lot of new blacks that they call them out there that are very gay friendly. I mean, you got to think about it. Every generation is is more indoctrinated than the generation before it. So a lot of the kids who grew up in the 2000s and the 2010s, they went to school um, thinking, and they were taught certain things in school. And now that some of them are adults, some of them are early 20s, mid 20s, they don't view homosexuality the way a lot of older black people do. You know, they don't have thoughts about homosexuality because a lot of the media they grew up watching is filled with gay people. You know, the rappers now are gay. A lot of the singers are openly bisexual, and they're taught to listen to these people and like this stuff, and that it shouldn't matter. And there was a time, like again, there was a time not too long ago where a guy like Lil Nas X wouldn't even be taken seriously on it. And I don't know like what his stature is, but somebody like him, he'd have been laughed out of the business. You know, Tyler the Creator with all this gay shit, they'd have been like, get the kid out of here. It didn't matter how talented he is. They just say, oh, he sucks dick, who cares? But now they're looking at it and they're like, oh, what's wrong with that? You know, they're all young feminists and toxic masculinity and womanists, and they know who Andrea Dworkin is. It's like, man, yeah, right. So I don't think so. I think a lot of the young new blacks who are the people who are pushing Miles Morales the most anyway, they would welcome whatever they did with Miles. You can make Miles, RuPaul. They would be like, well, what's the problem? He's still a hero because that's how they think. You know, they grew up watching Drag Race and all that kind of shit, right? Reality TV where every other character on the show was gay, and that's that's how they that's how they grew up, and I don't know whose fault that is, but or if it's anybody's fault at all, but it's a thing that they've got going on there. How many gay characters do you need? I don't know. I don't know what's the right number of like gay characters or straight characters or whatever. But Hollywood has agreed, I think, to like 20%, you know? So that's how many they shoot for, or something to that effect. Is like it pretty much has to be a gay character in every main cast for the most part, you know? How many people are reading modern day comics anyway? They all suck. Well, yeah, that's part of it. They're all just propaganda. But part of the reason, I mean, it's a chicken or the egg situation. It's like, did people stop reading comics and then they became what they became, or did they become what they become because people stopped reading them? I think that's an interesting question. Somebody who follows comic books a little bit, more than I do, probably should be able to answer that question. But all I know is I I see you could tell the popularity of certain characters have diminished when like sexuality changes happen. It becomes a noticeable change in popularity, you know, um, and it becomes pretty obvious pretty fast. DeVid says none of the politics matter anyway. People love quality. Dune 2 was fantastic. Barbie made 1 billion. Oppenheimer made 1 billion. Quality is all that matters. I don't think anybody ever said that Barbie was a quality movie. I never heard anything positive about Barbie at all. Um, I think mostly Barbie made a lot of money because of the popularity of the toy series. And Dune is a very popular franchise, so I would imagine that had a lot to do with that. I haven't seen the movie, so I can't say that the movies were quality. I can only say that these are two. Some of the stuff that you mentioned there is a very popular franchise, and people do latch on to popular franchises, which is why they keep doing remakes. The unfortunate thing is once the reason why the franchise is popular, it gets under attack, and then the franchise stops being popular. and then that kind of thing it changes. WG Fields says realistically, if he was born in 1943, 1944, it could work. Wolverine is a veteran of most major wars, so they could use him the experiment route. They could use Hydra. Yeah, but Wolverine is canonically immortal. Like he really just can't die. And he really does age very, very slowly because that's his mutant power. But Magneto, he's the master of magnetism, but it has nothing to do with the way he ages. Wolverine, you could at least say like he heals quickly, and maybe there in his healing there's some anti-aging elements to it. And then of course he went through the Weapon X experiments, so you can explain how Wolverine is so old. But Magneto, I don't know. I don't think they ever thought to try to explain that, and maybe they'll get around to it, or maybe they'll just ignore it. You know, who knows? All I know is when they start talking about Captain America being locked in a block of ice, it keeps being a longer and longer time in order to explain how he's still alive. Like he was in he was in the block for 30 years. He was in there for 45 years. So that's how they managed to explain Captain America. So I'm wondering how they're going to explain Magneto. So GK Aaron thinks it's a silent majority. Don't say anything, but the women, the people on the internet give the perception. I agree with that, actually. I do think that a lot of the people on the internet and a lot of the loudmouth women do give the perception that people are very open, but I also think that people are just more open. I think it's a little of both, if we're being honest. These generation of kids are not nearly as anti-progressive as they probably should be. You know, they're actually a little bit more progressive than I would imagine they would be. But when you, like they say, man, you teach people how to make shoes, they'll make shoes. You teach them to accept everything and everybody, that's what they'll do, and that's what they've been doing. You know, and I think the AIDS rate and black people becoming the face of AIDS in the United States has told that story, and nobody's standing up and arguing about. Nobody under the age of 50 is like standing up and arguing. Most people like I don't want to bring this person up. I'm not going to bring this person up. Actually, there's a content creator out there who is quite openly like homosexual, and it's in the black space, and pretty much nobody says anything about it. It's pretty in your face about it. Nobody says anything. When that really should be like, I'm not saying that should be like an eliminating kind of, you should judge people by their intelligence and what they bring to the table. But when people don't bring anything and they're degenerates, let's say, um, you have to ask some questions. But the popularity of RuPaul's Drag Race and soap opera television shows among black males has been definitely disappointing. The amount of black dudes who will sit and watch shows where black men are having sex with each other. And like I used to watch Mr. Robot. Like there was a scene where two guys were having sex, and when I was watching Spartacus, Blood and Sand, like I felt so weird watching those shows. Like man, ugh. Like this is really weird and gross. But you kind of, I always saw myself as being a little bit more, I guess you could say, accepting. But I started seeing it on like regular television, you know, and then I started seeing like all these TV shows that they watch. It's like every single one of these shows now has like this super gay character on it. And you see like some of these TV shows that are set in like New Orleans or whatever, and like half the cast are men in drag. And people be watching this stuff. Hell, my brother is watching this shit. And I'm like, what in the hell? Like, why are y'all watching men with long fingernails on like TikTok and stuff. Like, why are y'all doing that? But it is what it is. It's just a different generation, man. They like different shit, I guess. GK Aaron says we've gotten the time where we can't create new characters. We spend so much time focused on older characters. I agree with that to a degree. I do think that quite often we're probably better off just saying that we don't want anything to do with a lot of the older characters and just letting them die out and then going out and doing something new. Um, but part of the problem, I think, has been a lot of the avenues for making new characters or popularizing new characters have been filled up in the patronage system. The kind of people who get to make TV shows and write novels and things are the kinds of people who want to colonize Spider-Man. The people who want to make Black Captain America. They don't want to create their own. That was never the plan. The plan is integration. You know, that's always been the issue. And so those people, they get the job, and it becomes more about how can we make Black people in the Fantastic Four rather than how can we just make our own Fantastic Four or something to that effect. They don't care about that. They want to colonize and destroy what already exists. And I've said this before, like when it comes to like trying to publish your own work. You know, if you try to go through traditional publishing, you'll very quickly find out that they're not really all that interested in male perspectives, straight perspectives. They want people that they can install, to use a Jason Whitlock term, in these writers' rooms or whatever, these sensitivity readers and all this kind of crap. That's what they want. So you can forget it in terms of television shows and things like that that are going to appeal to a mass audience because you're going to get limited in your reach. So the best option is doing what somebody like Eric July did, which is becoming extremely popular doing something else and then creating your own characters. That's your best option, you know? Otherwise, you can forget trying to get into, you know, all of these traditional publishings and all like you can't get a conversation like Netflix or, whatever. And I forget which one of y'all sent me that Tubi movie thing. And I was thinking about that as I was listening to that video. And I was saying, like, man, the Tubi movie franchises or whatever is such an opportunity to do something creative and original. And what we just get is more hood movies, you know? Like, there's such opportunity there, such an opportunity rich situation. Just like, publishing used to be an interesting opportunity for people to create different things and new concepts. And what you started to get was just basically all the same stuff. It's it is what it is though. They could try to have Magneto stop the different genocidal conflicts throughout history if they want to be woke. Imagine Magneto flying into the UN with a Muslim scarf yelling Free Palestine. That would be entertaining. They should make a Palestinian hero who is Magneto, except he's Muslim and he wants to abolish Israel and all that kind of stuff. Let's see how that works. He'll probably be the biggest hero in the world right now. GK Aaron said, I was watching the new Fallout show, and it was like a breath of fresh air, not having a sex scene every 10 minutes. That's how you know it was written by a show written by degenerates. And I have really resisted in my own writings using sex scenes because of that reason right there. I got so burned out Like my brother watches a lot of like BMF and Power, and it seems like it's a sex scene every 3 minutes. I don't know who these characters are, and they're just humping constantly. I don't know anything about them. They're cussing at each other constantly. They're talking about selling drugs constantly. There's almost nothing like they what was endearing about The Godfather and all that kind of stuff, Goodfellas, was all stripped away and replaced with vulgarity, violence, and sex. You know, that was pretty much it. And you just sit there and you watch this stuff now, and it's like you're bombarded with pointless killings and you're bombarded with pointless sex all the time. And you never really get to know who the characters are, what the characters' motivations are, or anything like that. Sometimes they even open with characters having sex before you even know what the character's name is. It's like, Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ. That's how you know when shows are written by degenerates for degenerates, and they think that's what people want to see. Um, and you really don't pay too much attention to it until I remember the Eternals. It was a talking point for the Eternals that like finally there's going to be a sex scene in the Marvel Comics universe. And I was like, what do you mean finally? This is a children's movie franchise. Why do you want to have people having sex in it? You're like, there hasn't been any weddings in this motherfucker yet either. Like it's weird, man. But that's their mentality. They don't seem to care. And it's all about sex and violence. So it's unfortunate. But I'm not really interested in Wolverine and Deadpool. I guess I'll watch it. Um, if I see something good come from it, I'll watch it because the Deadpool movies have been solid. The first one was really good. The second one was it wasn't like absolute trash. But uh, compared to everything else they're doing, I don't know. I don't know if I'll watch it. Marvel Cinematic Universe has run out of gas, and I really don't want to put money in their pocket. He says, I don't know why BMF is a popular. It's just a bunch of non-talented actors and writers make a bad TV show. I don't know why either. Um, the crazy thing is, I've been saying the same thing about Power. I've been saying the same thing about Power since like season two. Like, it's pretty obvious that the BMF product, I don't even get it. Like, I really don't get the BMF TV show. You could have made a solid movie about it and called it a day. Why it needed to be a TV show, I don't know. And how is it different from anything else that's on TV? It's another thing that kind of it's like 50 Cent. Look, G Unit Studios, I hear is very successful. He's doing a great job, I guess. But I'm looking at it and saying like a lot of this stuff is just the same shit. It's just the BMF is just Power, which was the same crap as the shit that was on. What was that show on Fox that had Terrence Howard in it? What was it called? I don't know. I don't remember, but it felt like it was the same thing as that, just slightly different. And I was like, Empire. Yeah, there you go, Empire. And I was like, man, whatever. You know, the Tyler Perry movies all feel like they're the same shit. You just get the feeling that not much is growing. That people find something that works and they just go with that. And they don't try to do anything new. Like somebody recently said, like, oh, BET dropped the ball. We should have all this really cool stuff, because we got our own network. Well, starting as black people don't own BET anymore. But like the idea that there aren't like black movies and sci-fi and all that kind of stuff being made by BET. And it's like because it was the plan was to colonize. It wasn't to create. It was to take something that white people was doing, which is basically MTV, and put a black face on it. That was the plan. And then you did that, and then white people caught up and started putting black people all over everything, and so BET became pointless, you know. And then they started killing off all the shows that were extremely popular that was on BET and replacing them with reruns of Tyler Perry movies and black gossip girl shows. But it's not that black people are not creative. It's that the people who are creative can't get in the positions to create. The industries are so closed off. And not just, television and movies, but comics and video games and all these industries are super closed off. If they're not unionized, they're basically run by a cartel of sensitivity readers and other assorted bureaucrats who tell you what you can and can't say, what you can and can't do. I talked about this before. Yeah, like Walter Mosley, one of the most famous black authors in the world, being run out of a writer's room because some kid who don't know half his fuck of all about writing, um, trying to tell him what he can and can't write, what he can and can't say. You know, the simple freedom of expression. And when freedom of expression isn't just about politics; it's also about creativity. Of course, you're going to have the death of creativity when you can't freely, express yourself, free to create. What else is going to happen? He says, "Hey Mongo, do you live in a place that you could get problems if you wear red or blue clothes?" No, I'm from Detroit. That's like Compton in the '80s. No, we don't have that. We didn't really have that kind of stuff here. The death of the black sitcom should be studied. Yeah, we could sit down and have a conversation about it, but it really all boils down to the same thing though. Everybody tried to act like what Blackish and stuff like that was doing had never been done before. It's middle class Negroes with middle class Negro problems, writing middle class Negro television shows that nobody want to watch. It's like we most of us grew up with like Family Matters and Fresh Prince of Bel Air and Jeffersons. We've already been through that. We should be doing something different. We should be doing something new, but we're not. We're still doing homeboy shit, and it's it's not fun. It's not interesting. And then you can't replace these people because they're so powerful and they got so many connections. And if you offend them or piss them off, you don't get an opportunity. So your only opportunity is to bend over backwards and be a patron for these guys. Oh yeah, the quote unquote good times reboot. Now it wasn't really supposed to be a good times reboot. It was supposed to be like some kind of sequel. I think it was because none of the characters in the show were supposed to be characters from the original Good Times. They were supposed to be like their grandchildren or something like that. And I didn't know what it was supposed to be, but I looked at it and legitimately was offended. And some of the black people who were involved when it started apologizing for being involved online when they saw the backlash. I don't know if the show got canceled or if the show just came out and nobody watched it, but it was a collective conservatives and liberals saying this is trash. We don't want to see this. That was one of the first times in history where I saw conservatives and liberals together looking at this product and saying it's absolute shit. And a lot of the conservatives were blaming the liberals for its creation because conservatives are not in any position to create stuff like that. So maybe they were right in doing so. But even though even a lot of the liberals were pissed off, I was very, very impressed that they finally found something to be mad at, and they got on code and they said, "Fuck this! Nobody's watching this shit." Ugh, it was awful. They had a drug dealing baby, which of course comes from the Dave Chappelle joke, and I guess that's why they thought it was going to be okay. But I was like, nah, this sucks. This is terrible. And to be quite honest, I'm tired of it. It, stereotypes is how black people have been on TV for 30 years or so, man. Even longer. We haven't been able to do anything new. Haven't been able to do anything new. But a lot of it is because our creatives are co-opted. The creatives they all patrons of Oprah Winfrey, the most powerful black woman in Hollywood. You got to kiss her ring, and you can't say or do anything different than can't go against Oprah. And now there's fewer and fewer television networks because they're all consolidating, they're all buying each other. So there's fewer and fewer television networks, there's fewer and fewer outlets, and the jobs are monopolized by people who are already in the industry. So there needs to be some kind of a reckoning, and there will be eventually. Eventually, this thing is going to completely implode. And what is this with Jeff Jarrett throwing tortillas at Mexicans? He's been doing this shit for 15 years. Why is he still doing this stuff? I can't believe he's going to Mexico throwing tortillas at them. Like, this is like that's crazy. Anyway, even white people have stopped being creative. That's why the superhero stuff is still going on, because white folks have hit a creative wall. You know, it's the same thing though. They're not allowed to create and to innovate. It should stand as no surprise that a lot of the stuff that's falling. I just saw It's a Gundam talk about Warhammer and how now it's infected with progressives, and it's the same thing over and over again. It's the same playbook over and over again. You know, and it's crazy how it keeps working, doesn't it? It keeps working. It's the same thing over and over again. Same playbook. It's like playing Madden. Like, you just spamming the same play, but if the opponent can't stop it, then why would you stop doing it? So, you're gonna lose all your video games, all your tabletop games. You know, pro wrestling has been somewhat resistant to it, but it's not going to be for long. I can tell you. I'm pretty sure by 2030 we're going to be full in WrestleGate, and there's going to be a bunch of woke progressive wrestlers causing an issue about on-screen representation and a bunch of other shit. But right now, because there's no union in wrestling, they don't have that much control. They can't control, who gets in and how. Now they can keep out like Marty Skrull because he's like a criminal, but there's other people that they wish they could get rid of and they can't. He says, GK Aaron says, I'm even seeing it in Japan where all the anime and manga are just the same formula over and over. Well, that's a genre. That's the genre. Like, shonen is essentially the same thing over and over and over again. Seinen is a little bit different. Super Sentai is pretty much the same format. Tokusatsu is essentially the same format. They work off formats and tropes and stuff like that, and they tend to make it work for them. Because they make it unique enough that it stands out. But in the United, at least they're creating new things. You know, Like My Hero Academia is different from Demon Slayer, even though teenage boy is the hero. He's kind of a crybaby. He's kind of weak, but he's got to overcome his own emotions to do blah 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 and save blah 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 blah. Yeah, that's shown in main characters in 2010s. But at the very least, it's unique stuff. It's not like they're just rehashing Dragon Ball and Cowboy Bebop over and over and over again. You know, manga. Some very popular manga series have gone out of print, and they haven't been reprinting that stuff. You know, like Yu Yu Hakusho, um, just had a movie. They didn't reprint Yu Yu Hakusho manga. As far as I know, they didn't. So you would think that's what they would do. They didn't though. They reprinting Hellsing for some reason. Um, I'm enjoying that. That's fine. They're reprinting Fist of the North Star. I'm not sure why, but I'm enjoying that too. So, but you would think something that was as popular in the '90s in America as Yu Yu Hakusho, they would reprint that, but they don't. You would think that Trigun, which is also extremely popular in the United States, that they would reprint that. I heard they were going to, but it hasn't happened yet. Um, but manga goes out of print all the time, and they create new shit. They're constantly creating new shit. Like, yes, there's the Boruto, and yes, there's One Piece that's still been going on forever. But for the most part, they move on. In the United States, man, they don't move on to anything because you can't. Anytime somebody tries to create anything new, you got to be in the system already. You know, that's about it. I also love Yu Yu Hakusho. I think it would have been great for them to reprint the manga in a 3-in-1 format so that I could get it and read it. I want to read the manga. Am I enjoying the racing show? I got to episode 8 and I watched it. It's okay. It's actually not terrible. Um, it ain't great, but it ain't bad either. One thing I noticed about Japan is if they decide that they're going to have a theme, they're going to go all in on the puns. Like there's characters who talk in puns, and it's absolutely ridiculous. It's funny though. Low Key says the new Trigun series came out last year was a great way to combine the manga and the old anime and do something new at the same time. I agree. I agree. I didn't really like the new reboot because I didn't like some of the changes that they made, but I understand what they were trying to do. You know, they didn't just want to do Trigun over, because you've already got that. So they tried to do something new. But it seems like that's what's what we're happening here is we've got all this stuff. We're just going to rehash everything. So we got to make a new Trigun instead of just letting Trigun be what it is. We got to make a new one. You know. So, but I'm not surprised that they do that because sometimes the anime series goes so far away from the manga. Like Full Metal Alchemist, they redid it just a few years afterwards. It didn't even take long. Full Metal Alchemist didn't take long at all before they rebooted it with a more manga focused series. And I would have thought I know they did the same thing with Dragon Ball with Dragon Ball Kai, where they made it more manga focused and cut out some of the filler and all that stuff. I would imagine they're probably going to eventually do that with Naruto and Bleach and all that stuff too, in order to keep those franchises alive. It's a very intelligent way to keep the franchises alive because the original animes could be filled with filler, especially if it came out in like the 2000s, the early 2000s. There's going to be a lot of filler, probably some really shitty voice acting, um, that kind of stuff. They're going to go back in there and cut out all the filler and upgrade some of the art and all that kind of stuff in order to create something somewhat new. And I fully expect them to do that. But for the most part, Japan moves on, you know. The U.S. they seem to hold on to shit forever. But to answer WG Phil's question, I got to episode 8 of Boom Boom Rangers, and it's okay. You know, I I'm intrigued. Like for a long time, I didn't understand like the villainous plot didn't take shape. Like what does the villains want? It's like they want to conquer the earth. It's like, oh, okay, I guess. But now it seems like there's going to be some kind of ulterior motive to all of this stuff, and that's intriguing. It's intriguing. Sweet Baby likes Warhammer. The lore and the novels are pretty good. I've heard that a lot of people like that kind of stuff. I never really got into the whole tabletop thing. That was not for me. That's a different level of nerddom that I ever decided to get in. So that's what Oda is doing with One Piece. They're doing a new anime reboot with Netflix. I'm assuming they will fix the pacing issues the first anime ran into. I absolutely hated One Piece. I tried watching it when it first came on American television. And I watched like 3 episodes and I haven't gone back and watched a single episode of One Piece since. Everything I know about One Piece has been against my will. I've actually been more interested in Fairy Tail than One Piece. I actually watched Fairy Tail. I watched Fairy Tail all the way through. I didn't get much out of it, but I watched it all the way through. I didn't know Fairy Tail had been around for so long. There's like 6 different Fairy Tail series. I didn't know that. I ended up finding a Fairy Tail Volume 4 in a book bin. That's the only Fairy Tail manga I have is 4. I was like, I should at least get the first 3 and then pretend like I read, like I was reading Fairy Tail and then jumped off of it. But I was like, wow. But yeah, One Piece is not for me. It's too long. Uh, I don't think we need to have this your magnum opus be 20 years. I get it. It's fun. It's you have all these creative ideas, and it's all about how you could get that stuff to fit. But my thing is tell the story and then go back and do whatever you can with it. Add different elements here and there, or do offshoots and stuff like this. This continuous story for 20 years is like that's pretty bullshit, brother. GK Aaron is not a fan of shonen. He feels like the genre is overdone. Well, I like shonen. I fuck with shonen. I don't read every shonen that comes out though. I'm not one of those guys because I just saw one um recently that I was like, this looks interesting, but I want to see how it's going to be different from everything else, you know. And I haven't seen how it was different yet. That's what took me so long to get into Spy Family, even though Spy Family isn't really shonen. The Warhammer stuff is to get back at Henry Cavill. Well, it's up to the people who own Warhammer to fall into that and to let it happen, and they always do. They literally always do. So they want to destroy every single everything, and as a way of getting to creators and all these other people. Since you watched Fairy Tale, did you also read and watch Maji or Maga? I did not. Is it worth watching? Um, I don't know why I started watching Fairy Tale. It was really random at the time, I think. I may have seen it on TV. It was like, what's this? And then when I found a channel online so I could watch that kind of stuff, I just started watching it. I always fall into like I always say I'm going to watch something, and then I'll get caught up and watching something else that I find more interesting. Like I think I started watching Space Pirate Cobra, which nobody told me to watch and nobody ever mentioned to me ever. I just started watching it on my own and was like, hey, I like this. Like this is cool. I'll watch this. I got like, I don't know, maybe 10 episodes in, I think. as we having this conversation now. I did see when I went to the comic book and toy show Saturday. I saw a Space Pirate Cobra comic, but it was in Japanese, so I didn't buy it. I can't read it. When I watched Captain Harlock, and I watched that all the way through, nobody told me to watch it. I just stumbled across it, and I was like, "This is interesting. I'm going to watch this." And then I was like, "Oh, this is great. I'm going to finish this," and then I finished it. So that was fun. It's always fun finding new stuff, but there's a lot of things that people have suggested to me that I just don't find interesting. Like what was this? The Legend of something something, and I'm just like, ugh, it's very dry. They said it's like Dungeons and Dragons in space, and I was like, yeah, it is. It is very dry. He says it's based on characters from 1,001 Arabian Nights, similar premise like One Piece and Fairy Tale. I may try it. I may try it. I also like to try to go back and watch anime and manga that I didn't finish on Adult Swim, like Witch Hunter Robin. I still haven't been able to watch that all the way through. Wolf's Rain, I saw the end of that, but I didn't get to watch it all the way through. I liked Wolf's Rain, so I'm gonna may get around to watching that this year. So, but I like to pick stuff up kind of randomly. All right, it's warm. I need to turn the air on because it's kicking my ass. I hate that it's so warm. This is not going to be a happening summer for me. All right, 10:30. I've been on this thing longer than I said I was going to be, but I appreciate everybody for stopping by, man. Um, I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out. What's my favorite cartoon? Uh, I don't know. I don't know what my favorite cartoon is. I don't know if I have an answer to that. Maybe X-Men the animated series. Maybe Spider-Man the animated series. Maybe Batman the animated series. Hmm. Or are you talking like traditional, what we view as cartoons, like Looney Tunes, which is would be my favorite of that? I'm far more of a Looney Tunes guy than like a Flintstones or Tom and Jerry. I never really got into Tom and Jerry, but I love Looney Tunes. Like I love like the Foghorn Leghorn meme that's been going around has been uplifting. It's been enlightening. I love it because Foghorn Leghorn is fucking hilarious, and he always has been. It's like people are just now figuring it out, So it was really good. And then listening to country dudes do the voice has been really fun. He says he started reading Kagurabachi. I heard that was supposed to be something a big deal, but I also heard they canceled it. It's about a mystic swordsman that's trying to hunt down a wizard yakuza that murdered and stole his father's 6 mystic swords. I heard that I heard it was very popular, at least for a little while, but then I also heard that it got canceled. I don't know how true any of that stuff is, but I do remember hearing about Kagurabachi a lot. And then I remember people talking about it might have gotten canceled. So I don't know what happened, but I heard about it. It hasn't been printed in the United States yet, right? It hasn't been like I only read stuff when it's like hard copy. I don't follow shit online because I'll never be able to keep up with that. I tried keeping up with stuff weekly, and I'll never be able to do it. I always fall behind, and then I'll lose interest. I think it doesn't help that I don't have a computer. I just have a tablet and my phone. So I could probably read manga on my tablet if I wanted to. I need to get a computer. I need to write at home. All right. I appreciate everybody stopping by, man. Thank you guys for your time. I'll talk to you guys later. Peace out.